All right, Rotus, I know you have to go, but run.
Just like that.
Run.
Good morning, Rifai. Good morning, Ian. Good morning, everybody. Let's run. Let's go. Good morning, all our viewers out there. Of course, as everyone knows, the U.S., of course, has cut interest rates. It was priced in 11-1 votes yesterday. The Federal Open Markets Committee, about 25 basis points. Of course, Stephen Moran was the lone dissenter, the Trump appointee. He wanted a 50 basis point cut, but 4% to 4.25. Powell, of course, in his press conference said that the labor market in the U.S. is weakening. At the same time, inflation risks remain. And he talks about it a lot. He talks about the pass-through effect of tariffs into inflation. So he's talking about goods inflation in particular in the United States and how it is seeping through. But because businesses are taking the bulk of that, how long can that remain in place? What about the outlook? The outlook remains pretty cloudy. I mean, you had a medium forecast of 2 more rate cuts in 2025. However, 6 Federal Reserve officials said they didn't see any more rate cuts, and then you had one who suggested that there could have been a hole, but that official, whoever it was convinced to vote for a cut. And then we had another official who said they wanted to see 125 basis point cut further by the end of the year. Everybody knows that's Stephen Moran. Now, the markets, it's as if they didn't. Oh, actually, let me take this quote from the Bank of America senior economist, Aditya Behave. He says, everyone, or all but one, was willing to go along with a 25 basis point cut, but the hawkish voices are going to get louder the lower policy rates go because the inflation picture isn't going to clear up. And it's because of that fact that everyone is not sure how things are going to work out with the tariffs and so on and so forth, that the outlook looks so cloudy. In fact, the markets weren't even sure how to do it. First of all, the markets were positive. Then they started falling. That's the U.S. markets. Dow Jones was up, but the S&P and the NASDAQ were down. I included the Russell 2000 because it's a market for small cap stocks, which are more interest rate sensitive. At one point, it was up by 1.4%, but then ended up being up by just 0.18. So even Asian markets have reflected that this morning. Another matter that's been going around is Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, and the fact that it's been found, according to Bloomberg reporting, that he had contradictory mortgages back in 2007. Now, remember, this is why President Trump has been trying to fire Lisa Cook, who is a member of the Federal Reserve Board. Essentially, they've accused her of mortgage fraud. Mortgage fraud in the U.S. is when you take 2 different mortgages, claim that they are your primary residence, right? You take more than one mortgage and claim that it's a primary residence in order to get lower rates. You're trying to deceive the lender. However, in Bessent's case, the lender was Bank of America. They knew he had 2 different mortgages, and they were aware that he wasn't trying to deceive them. This man is pretty wealthy. This was in 2007, and it was part of a $21 million financing agreement. Lisa Cook's 2 mortgages come out to about $700,000. However, her banks are different. She had 2 different banks. I think one home in Atlanta, in Georgia, and then another home elsewhere. His were in New York and Massachusetts. But the point here is that accusing somebody of fraud when they list 2 different mortgages, it can be an issue of just an error. In her own case, Reuters has reported that one of the lenders knew that one of her homes was going to be a vacation home and not a primary residence. Either way, the whole point is that, they're talking about double standards. What you're accusing somebody of, one other person in your own administration has done it. Is this really mortgage fraud? That is what's been put forward here. And by the way, it was signed by his lawyer back in 2007. Meanwhile, Meta had their Meta Connect yesterday. They released, Mark Zuckerberg displayed the new Ray-Ban glasses. You see this individual, the hands twitching. He believes that the next generation of user interface for technology is going to be using your hands, so that you can see the fingers of this person swiping over their hand. Your hand now becomes the mouse. He doesn't think that it's going to be phones going forward, and they're retailing for about $700 or so. Nigeria, the NGX is considering extending trading until 5 p.m. Trading currently closes at 2:30 p.m. If you look around the world, Singapore closes at 5, the US closes at 5, UK closes at 4, China closes at 3. So extended trading would mean more brokerage fees for brokerage houses that facilitate trading. You have more, you could actually incentivize more activity on the markets if you were to extend trading until 5. It's still something that's being considered. In the UK, they're considering 24/7 trading. So it's something that markets around the world are looking at. That is our updates for today.
I know you're going to go, Vimbai?
Okay, very quickly, it's unfortunate that the rate cut has now become more of a political conversation than an economic conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, we all agree it needed to happen, but it's unfortunate that we may not take it for its merit or at its merit. Again, those who believe in sort of basing these decisions on current realities are arguing that this shouldn't have been the case.
Right.
In that. When we do our rates, it should be forward-looking as opposed to based off of our current realities.
Right.
Some people say it should always be forward-looking, which is the school of thought Jerome Powell belongs to.
Right.
Nevertheless, we now officially entering into stagflation territory, because what are you doing? You're pulling in two different directions. You need to boost the economy, but you also need to shrink in one place. It's a horrible place to be. I still think it could have been prevented if he just cut the rates a few months sooner.
All right, okay, so AI tech, I know it excites you, like you say when you talk about it. So Meta is trying to prove that the AI glasses are going to be a must-have as opposed to being luxurious. I know there's one person on our table who currently has one of those, AI-powered glasses. And to be fair, there's an argument for that. The only thing is that it is technology versus cost. I do believe that the more this penetrates into the market and more players come into the game, it would certainly reduce cost. And perhaps it would then mean that everybody, just as you had the smartphone, initially it seemed like, okay, it's luxury, but now almost everyone, if not, almost everyone has a smartphone. So good move by Meta and trying to even push the fact that, that AI-powered glasses ought to be commonplace. Now going to the US, there's a similarity as well between what happened in the United States of America and with the United Kingdom with Angela Rayner and her tax, whether it was evasion or just ignorance or the law not being very clear in the area it is interpreted. It would be great, as I always say, to see how Trump is going to come out of this, since his appointee and person Scott Bessent has been seen to, be in infraction just in the similar way as Lisa Cook. I understand your argument about the fact that he declared to Bank of America that he had two mortgages, but the argument still remains that did he take advantage of perhaps a loophole in that law? So it's the same thing for both of them, in my opinion, but it still remains that the court has upheld that Trump cannot and should not fire Lisa Cook. We'll see what the Supreme Court has to say about that.
In all fairness, I think there are different things, and this is me that talks against Trump, but I'm objective enough to say the way it is. In Scott Bessett's case, there was a declaration. In Lisa Cook's case, you said the bank, Reuters reported that the bank know that she was going to be a vacation property, next property. Guess what? A couple of weeks after, that property was listed on Zillow as rental property. What? The bank has not judged, though, but to my mind, what Lisa Cook did was fraudulent. The courts have not judged. I said to my mind.
You said the banks. I said the courts.
I'm saying that what she did was, in Scott Bessett's case, it was obvious that he declared to the bank. In Lisa Cook's case, she told them that, it was going to be a vacay property. Real quickly, she listed it on Zillow that people can rent the house again. And she was making money off the property. So let the court determine all of this.
Before she was appointed to the board.
So and that's why when you look at the judgment from the lower court to the Court of Appeal, what they keep saying out for cause means that offenses you committed while you were there that has to do with your job. But the Supreme Court has not ratified that decision. But for the fact that there was not an infraction spotted, I mean, see, I don't agree with Trump on many things, but in all of this, I think it's not a good comparison between what Lisa Cook did.
What if she changed her mind after, because they both declared?
You will have made a declaration.
She forgot.
You will have made a declaration. She forgot, really? No. Let's not do. See, Rotus, I don't agree with Trump on many things, but on this, let's call it spade a spade.
No, all right. If you test the law,
no comment on the Meta glasses.
On the Meta glasses, I don't know. Let's go. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.